lounging, son.
And so those moments are, we were just two goofy kids who dreamed about being Jack Kirby, following in his footsteps, at the very least. But man, what a journey it's been. So, but yeah, I would say.
Welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and today I have a very, very, very special guest. I have Kevin Eastman, the co-creator of the Ninja Turtles. And I mean, this is a huge honor to be able to talk to you this morning. Good morning, Kevin.
Good morning. So awesome to be here. Thanks, man. Thanks, Ryan. Nice to be here.
So first off, I just want to ask, the Turtles celebrated their 35th anniversary last year. I mean, it's insane. They've been a staple in my life since I was a little boy. I mean, my first movie was a Ninja Turtle movie. I think the first cartoon I remember is a Ninja Turtle cartoon. I have all the comics. What does it feel like to have this creation that you and Peter created all those years ago still be so relevant today?
It's all your fault. So no, I mean, that's really in all seriousness, that is the fans that really embrace this really crazy, fantastical idea of Peter and I, and have kept it going all these years, because just as easily it could have faded away. But it's been one of those things that after you made it a certain amount of time, and you guys are still coming out and supporting the comics and the stuff that we're doing, and now it's become almost it's become generational. That with the launch of the new Nickelodeon series back in 2012 and things like that, we would go to conventions and would see families coming dressed up as turtles, and this new generation of kids. So I always say, you can't tell a child, you couldn't tell us what was cool and what was not when we were kids, and the same today. So the fact that it resonates with them in some way is just like, it's mind blowing. But what a gift. I was drawing before I get on the line with you here today, and I'm 58 years old, and I've been drawing comics my whole life, thanks to the fans and fans like yourself. So thank you, mate.
Yeah, man, keep them coming. Recently Last Ronin just dropped, so I feel like the popularity is it seems like it's resurging, especially because I work at a shop. So I was witnessing firsthand, people weeks before were calling about it. And since it was allocated, there wasn't enough, for everybody that wanted it that first week. And it's almost like people were coming to it as if there hasn't been a Turtle comic for the last 9 years, right? You just didn't know because there was so much hype. What was it like finally being able to bring that story to life after all these years? And if you could share a little bit of the origin of where the story came from.
Sure. Well, thanks. And we, apologize to, the short sale, because we were really sincerely, IDW ourselves, we were taken by surprise. We had hoped that, it was this idea that originated back in 1987, based on a treatment and outline that Peter and I wrote. And then, when Tom and I saw the opportunity to adapt it, as because there were similar parallels in the origin, being when Peter and I had reached issue 11, we were kind of looking down the road of where we wanted to take the Turtles. And so we had this idea of let's look 30 years into the future and see where they might be. And then we can almost re-navigate a path to get there. And so when Tom and I were coming up on, we could see issue 100 coming, and this was about a year away. In December of 2018, we were sort of like, well, what do we want to do after issue 100? Because we knew there was a finality to that issue with room to continue, of course. And we said, well, I had this idea I developed with Pete, and dusted it off, and Tom and I spent about a year putting all the pieces together, adapting it respectfully to all the Mirage Studio isms that it's built upon. It's built on multiple Turtle universes, but obviously leans way heavy on the Mirage universe. And we looked 20, 25 years down the road, and started. We were able to dive right into it with full company support. And yeah, man, what a trip! It's we started work on it in March, in the middle of the.
Yeah.
As a pandemic sort of rolled over the entire globe, we lost the original artist, stepped aside, that was brought into the series. We found a new team with the Escorzo brothers, Isaac and Esau. And it was almost like we weren't in control, in that the things that happened, like the art team we went after was just happened to be available, and people just happened to be available at this moment. And again, at a time it was a pretty tough time for the world. So it's quite the miracle that it came together the way it did, and
Yeah.
even more so the way it's been received. So thank you guys.
Oh, I mean, I absolutely love it. I think it's great for new and old turtle fans alike. You know, it's just, and the art is amazing. The covers, all the covers you guys did for it, amazing. I have the A cover, and then I of course I get all the Eastman covers for the main turtle series. I always make sure to grab your covers.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I was kind of curious, how involved has Peter been in all this? Have you guys talked a lot about the story?
Well, it was, you know, I reached out early on, told him this is what I wanted to do, and of course, you know, opened the door wide open for any of his involvement. And he's, once he retired, he pretty much was sort of, I'm going to stay retired, but please send me anything you want. If I want to throw in a comment or two, I will. But otherwise, you know, go for it. You know, and the coolest part, I guess, was that the story as it existed, as it was sort of put into an envelope in 1987, you know, basically had a structure to it. It had all the components, you know, when we were, you know, and eventually we will probably in one of the collectives when we release bits and pieces of the universe that we built for that story, you'll see them firmly in place in here. We've obviously added and expanded a number of elements to the story, but he's had full say back in the day, and we're respecting it and making sure we do a good job. And if we're not, I'm sure he'll let us know.
And without spoiling anything, are there any other ideas or for any other stories that you guys came up with but never actually came to fruition that you might visit in the future? Possibly.
Well, there were always you know, scribbles and notes and ideas. Peter and I have, you know, you know, every once in a while, it's like, you know, just before you're going to sleep, you get this idea in your head, and you'll get up and jot down like a paragraph of something. So there's envelopes stuffed full of little random ideas that sometimes they're nonsense. Sometimes you can build an idea out of it. But as far as what's interesting about what we've been doing when we're building the world of The Last Ronin, because it really is, you know, it was just funny that when we designed the original concept to be 30 years in the future, 1987, that was, you know, 2017. That was like 2 years before we started. And so we're looking down the road, you know, say 20, 25 years, and just trying to imagine it, you know, the advances in technology and stuff. So we would like design everything from the ground up, what the world was, what the global structure was, even though it's really strongly focused in one, you know, in Manhattan. But each time we built a new section of this world, where the story is going to take place, you sort of look around that corner and you look around that corner and you go, this is a story over there, and there's a story over there, and there's something. So, you know, I think we may say more, you know, if we do our job well and we get through the series and you guys still like us, there may be other story we can tell within that universe, because it feels like it's our own kind of Dark Knight universe, if you will, and that we, you know, we wanted it sort of dystopian and edgy and straight up, you know, serious. There's not a lot of comedy in this.
Right. And would you say that, I mean, I know it's called Last Ronin, but would you say, you said Dark Knight, would you say Dark Knight Returns and Frank Miller's Ronin were heavy influences when coming up with this particular story? Back when they originally did it.
Oh, 100%. You know, I'd say I owe my entire career to Jack Kirby and especially Frank Miller. I was a huge fan. You know, it's funny because I was a pretty Daredevil was was my favorite characters as a child growing up. You know, I was really into the Gene Colan and Bob Brown and all the guys that were doing it. And along comes Frank Miller and Daredevil 158, and it was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And then, you know, he not only blew us away for the next 30 plus issues of Daredevil, but also what he's gone on to do has just been a huge inspiration. I mean, you know, changed the game and changed comics as we know it. And so, yeah, huge inspiration. And I feel like, you know, the Turtles having now been around, you know, the timing for The Last Ronin, you know, the Turtles been around for 36 plus years now. The time was right for the kind of this story to take place. We've seen multiple Turtle universes, much like we've seen multiple Batman universes prior to Dark Knight Returns, and you know, from Adam West series to some very serious, the old Neil Adams, so many different Batman universes. And so when I apply and what we looked at to do with Last Ronin, it was like the time is to go there to this place and tell this particular kind of story, because it is in fact firmly and solidly based on everything that happened in Turtles issue 1. Splinter met the Turtles, mutated with them, and then raised and trained them for revenge, to take revenge on Orokusaki for what he did to his family. And that is the foundation, and that's the core of the Last Ronin. So it's a continuation of that.
Yeah. And spoiler alert for anybody listening, but I'm going to say who Last Ronin is. I guessed weeks before with my friend that it was going to be Mikey, and my other friend that worked at the shop, he's like, no, it's Raph. I'm like, no, it's got to be Mikey. Like that's who it has to be. And what was the decision behind making it Mikey? Because that isn't the obvious choice. Obviously, a lot of people thought Raphael, but for some reason, I mean, maybe it's because of how many Turtles comics there are. I'm like, there's no way they're going to do the obvious. They have to do something different. Why Mikey?
A couple of reasons, and first and foremost, there really wasn't, as far as I was concerned, there wasn't another choice. I really wanted Michelangelo, and Tom saw it right away. But Michelangelo was the first turtle ever drawn before he was even named Michelangelo. The nunchuck strapped to his arm and the bandana on. But Michelangelo, as he's the character that he became in most of the versions of the Turtles, he was a sort of more easier going, lighthearted, a little more laid back, always a good fighter, and was always there for his family and all that. But it was just one of those that we saw the most interesting story arc, that to take a character from what we know of that character and put him in the place of the character that he needs to be in this story. And you'll see the transitions and the growth throughout as we go back and forth a little bit on that. So, but it was the most interesting characters for this story. It felt exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect choice, man. And I was so satisfied when I was able to show my manager at the shop. Was like, dude, I told you it was gonna be Mikey. But I was wondering also, past Last Ronin, is there any other Ninja Turtle news that you can share without giving away too much spoilers that we got coming up?
Well, it's fascinating, as I touched on earlier, that a year and a half ago we didn't really know we'd be doing Last Ronin, and I feel like that's what's been it almost goes back to the approach that we took to the IDW ongoing series. It was always sort of story first, and then let's let that guide us. And so it was never hey, if we pull this character in and do this, or if we kill this character to up sales, or do you think the fans would like it if we did this? We just sort of, as we introduced and we navigated that right up into the release of Jenica, we originally wanted to have her evolve a little bit more quickly after issue 51, where she was introduced as this character, but it just didn't work. And then the way it worked, it fell into place right at issue 95 that made the most sense story-wise. So I feel like that our focus now is doing the best job we can on Last Ronin, really keep that intensity there. We're adding another artist, Ben Bishop, who's doing some of the flashbacks, starting in issue 2. So we've got 2 amazing teams, the Escorza brothers and Ben. And so I figure by the time we get through Last Ronin, opportunities will present themselves, and that'll be, so we'll let that guide us.
Awesome. And speaking of Ben Bishop, is there any update on Drawing Blood Volume 2?
There is. We just finished, much like the rest of the planet, we all kind of slowed down a little bit, just trying to adjust to the new world order. So many of us, make a living going to conventions and out there interacting with our fans, and just looking after our families. And so it was the work on Drawing Blood slowed down a bit more than we would have liked, but we're almost wrapped. Issue 8 is in the pipeline, so we're close. We finished the Ragdoll story. We got issues 5, 6, 7, and we're into 8. So we're nearing the finish line. It's just, man, I can't wait for you guys to see that one too. That one. This whole series, David Avalone, some of the scripts that he put together for this next round are just they're intense and they're tearjerkers, and it's some pretty intense stuff there too. So soon.
Okay, cool.
Can't wait for that one to get out.
Yeah, I'm very excited. And is there any other projects you're working on besides the turtle stuff and Drawing Blood?
No, I've got little side projects and I've always had like 2 or 3 notebooks stacked around my desk where I've got a kids project and had this kind of buddy comedy animated thing I've been working on and a few other things, but right now it's like those end up being distractions, so I've sort of pushed them further away and made room for just Last Ronin and Drawing Blood. But Last Ronin's the main project on my desk. I did finish Marvel was kind enough to invite me to do a Conan story, a short story, as part of a collection that's coming out in December. So I did a 10-page story for that, which I sent over last week, and they didn't tear it up and throw it back. So I guess they're going to print it.
Man, I'm definitely looking forward to that too, man. Okay, so I know we have to wrap it up, but before we do, I was wondering if you could share one of your fondest memories of your career so far, or even just like a really cool story that you maybe haven't shared.
It's probably some of my absolute fondest memories were absolutely the earliest days with Peter. When, especially the days when we were, the name of Mirage Studios was created because we didn't have a studio. It was our living room, and we would actually literally be sitting in these overstuffed chairs, drawing on lap boards and passing pages back and forth. And some of the adventures and experiences that we shared, especially in the early days, were just just the greatest gift. The toys, the cartoons, the stuff that we were intimately involved with and created together, said yes to the right things, no to the right things, and so those moments are we were just 2 goofy kids who dreamed about being Jack Kirby, following in his footsteps, at the very least. But man, what a journey it's been. So, but yeah, I would say my fondest memories were definitely of the early days with Pete.
Very cool, man. And one last comment I just want to throw out there. You were talking about some of those notes. I think I want to see a hardcover of Last Ronin with some bonus materials. I hope that's definitely in the works. And again, thank you so much for taking some time out today to chat with me. I've been a huge fan of your work since I was a little boy, And if you could real quick share where we can find you online, and I will drop those links down below.
Absolutely, Ryan. Thank you. I'll flip it back to you just for a second. Just say, look, I have the greatest job ever because we have the greatest fans ever. We do miss getting out on the road. Courtney and I, we do 16, 20 shows a year. And that was just so wonderful to meet you all in person and shake your hand and thank you. And also just get a little bit of time to hang out. So stay safe and make sure that you all stay safe so when we can get back out there, we'll get to hoist the glass together. So,
yes.
But for online stuff, Kevin Eastman Studios, thefangclub.com, go to Kevin Eastman Studios, and pretty much anything and everything we're doing or anything we're up to, whether it's, watch TMNT with me or some Facebook Live or just, doing goofy stuff online. But we've got plenty of stuff to look at and stuff to sell you, and lots of just news and information. So yeah, check us out there.
All right, cool, man. And thank you again. And we got to do this again sometime.
Yes, circle back around issue 3 or 4, and you can give us a report card. Let us know how we're doing.
Okay.
Okay?
You can expect that from me, man.
Look forward to it.
All right. Have a good one.
You as well. Cheers. Thanks. Bye. That was awesome, Ryan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.